Let's make this very simple screwdriver in Plasticity so that we can learn about making interesting cuts that are not planar. As always, first thing we're going to do is set the camera mode to perspective, because I prefer that. Then we're going to create a center circle, and we're going to give it a diameter of, let's say, 4 millimeters. Well, it really doesn't matter. Then we're going to extrude it up, and just going to eyeball this. Something like this, probably. Okay. Then remove that. We're going to make another circle on top of this, and we're going to make it, let's say, maybe 20. We're going to extrude this again. Let's just have a look at something reasonable for a screwdriver. This might even be a little too thick, honestly. So why don't we reduce it ever so slightly. Then I'm going to hit Control R for isoparam, and I'm going to cut here, enable edges. If you don't see your edges, you can hit the tilde, and that's going to show them, or toggle this button right here. Then select the top cylinder and cut this one as well. Let's say something like this. Then I will reduce the size here. I'm actually going to remove this probably, so I'm going to leave it as a placeholder. Then I'm going to cut here and here. And now what I'm going to do is select this one cylinder here, hit Control R, find a point I can snap to on the circumference, and then I will shift scroll wheel up until I get 6. This should give me 6 isoparam lines. I'm going to click to confirm. I'm going to select all of them with Control Alt click, and then I'm going to pipe these. So the pipe obviously is arbitrary. Let's try to see what might look decent for a screwdriver here. Let's say probably something like this. Is this decent enough? I also want to cut those lines, the same lines on the bottom. So why don't we select these all? And this is not the only way to do this, but it's one of the approaches. I'm going to duplicate these with Shift D, select the bottom cylinder, and then I'm going to go ahead and cut this non-planar shape out of that. Hit enter. I'm going to remove the sheets, and obviously I want to remove these ones as well. Effectively, we could have done the same, but this is just another approach that I wanted to show you. Let's reduce this one maybe a little more. I'm going to hit 4, then F and RED to delete redundant topology so that we get rid of those circles on the caps. And now the interesting part is cutting the dome here, and I would say a bevel right here. Because if I use the bevel, well, I can do that, but it's not really going to be what I want. I want to cut the whole thing. You can see it actually glitches if I do this. There. So let's make it a little nicer. I'm going to need a little more space here, so I'm going to make it longer, and we can always change the size later in any case. I am going to select a sphere and put it here. I'm going to make it a little, just a little bigger than our shaft. Then hit B to create a new form, and then G to move the sphere down. I want to intersect the top here so it's completely inside the screwdriver. Then I'm going to select the screwdriver, hit C for cut, use the surface of the sphere to cut, and hit enter. Then I'm going to remove this. I'm going to remove the sphere, and I have to merge these two again. So QQ to merge them. You can see we got this nice little end of the screwdriver handle. What about the bottom? Well, I'm going to use something a little different for the bottom. So I'm going to go back to the top. I'm going to take a line, make sure that I'm snapping to the center. I am going to create a revolved surface. So with that selected, F and then Rev or Revolve. I'm going to select this Z-axis up, and then I'm going to take this new sheet. Actually, let me remove this first. I'm going to take the new sheet and move it down using the handle here. Make sure you move it just on the Z-axis. Go back here and remove a chunk of that handle there. So I'm going to hit enter to confirm the position of that cone. I'm going to select the handle again, C again, hit that, remove, remove. And I think I'm going to reuse this actually because I want to use it for the bottom part. So I'm going to move it here, something like this. And then Shift D to duplicate. I'm going to move it up. I'm going to rotate this on the y-axis 180 degrees. And if I can see more or less where this goes, let's see. We're going to get something similar. You know what? We're not going to do this. We're actually going to mirror that. So let's just cut it right there, or maybe a little lower, something like this, because I don't want it to be too thin. So I'm going to select this, cut it again, and remove that. Remove this. Now I'm going to select this face and this face, shift space to create a new mirror plane, and now Alt X to mirror it. I am going to select this bottom axis, hit Q to merge, and enter. Let's see if we can remove the redundant topology. Apparently not. So this one is going to remain, but it's not a big deal. I think it's decent enough. We can probably actually maybe increase the size ever so slightly to something like this. And for the center part, I actually want to use something slightly different. So let's see, why don't we try a slight curve like that. Let's revolve this one as well. So F rev to revolve, select the z-axis, go up, and we got that one. I'm going to select this one, period, to solo this, F patch. I'm going to patch those sides just in case. And then I'm going to give it some lines here using isoparam again. I can see that I probably want to move this down a notch because it's not touching. So let's see, something like this. There. Wherever it's touching, something like that, so it's not too visible. So I'm going to select this one again, select the face of this sort of squished cylinder, Control R to isoparam again, and then Shift scroll wheel up. I'm going to give it, I don't know, maybe six lines. Let's say something like this. All right, pretty good. I'm going to select all of these, making sure I select the correct one because this one was being selected, the back one. Make sure you are actually selecting the correct ones. P to pipe, and it's going to be a bit of a mess now, but I'm going to reduce this to 0.3 or something like that. And I think maybe even 0.4 will do it. Hit enter, and it's pretty much done. So let's see how it looks without edges. I think it looks pretty good. So I am going to make all these edges a little softer for this one and this one. I'm going to isolate them. Let's see if it looks good with something like a 0.4. I'm going to select all the edges, hit B and D. Let's see, 0.4. It's probably going to look good. Let's remove that. I think it looks good enough. Maybe we can make it a little more. Let's say 0.7 to make them a little softer because it's plastic, something like that. Pretty good. And now we want to cut the very end of the screwdriver. So first I am going to make a sort of a cone here, a curved cone. So I'm going to start here. I'm going to go out a little bit, something like that, because I want the bit to come out a little. I'm going to revolve again. So F revolve. This is basically a revolve tutorial in case you didn't notice yet. So something like this. Select with 4F patch. I'm going to patch that. And now I want to cut it. The way you cut it doesn't really matter. I think for this one, I am going to do, let's see, something like, so the bit is going to be flat on the other side. So maybe something like this. Let's move this probably here. Alt X to mirror. Select both and cut this one. Remove those. And now for the other side, I'm going to make it really flat, obviously. So let's start maybe around here and go to a point around here. Alt X again, mirror, select both, and cut. And there you go. Now make sure you don't erase the base one, like I was about to do. Erase this and erase this. Now if you want, obviously you can always change this a little bit, make it a little more pointy. Something like that, and maybe even a little longer. If this is not tilted enough, you can always R rotate and move it a little bit, but you can see obviously at this point, if we don't merge these two, it's going to change the way it looks because it's going to inset there. So let's see, let's move it by snapping to the grid. I'm going to make it a little more flat because I don't think this is enough. So rotate, this is way too much. Let's say 1 degree there, and then rotate with R again, this by 1 degree. There you go. All right. And let's see how it looks with the renderer, actually. That's pretty good. So this is our screwdriver. That's all for today's video. I hope you found it useful. If you did, hit that like button and subscribe for more. As always, thanks for watching, and I will see you next time.